Hey family, it's Dr. Bryant, your therapist, Mindset for Freedom. How are you? Listen, I had to redo this video that I had done on forgiveness because when I played it, I could hardly hear the volume. You know, these headsets sometimes they just don't act right, but it could have been me too. I could have turned my volume up a little bit more. And my real good headset, I forgot to charge it. So listen, lesson learned. You know what I say, experience comes and you find out what the lesson is. So that was the lesson. I need to make sure my stuff is charged before I go live. All right. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about something that really is important. It was important to me enough to redo this video on TikTok and put it on Instagram because I wanted to make sure that you could hear me about forgiveness. Forgiveness and healing. Now, I know you heard about forgiveness so many times. You know, it's nothing new per se, but I need you to listen today because if you're suffering with anything, any type of negativity, most of the time it's connected to some type of unforgiveness, something that we're holding ourselves victim to, something we're judging ourselves with, something we're blaming ourselves or someone else about. And you can't be empowered if you're a victim. You can't be empowered if you don't have love. You see, sometimes you think you have love and compassion, but you really don't have love and compassion because it can't flow without forgiveness because they go together. Forgiveness keeps you bound. It keeps you from flowing into the presence that's never absent. But when you're in non-forgiveness, you see, you can't fool energy because where your attention goes, the energy flows. And if your attention inside of you, because you know, we know now that it's all about the inner man. So if inside of you, you have some trappings of unforgiveness, some trappings of bitterness, some trappings of, I was the victim, you got to let that go. You've got to forgive the person and you have to forgive yourself. No matter what happens, if you contracted a disease, forgive the person. They didn't vindictively look at you. I'm talking about 99% of the people, you know what I mean? And say, I'm going to do this to her. You have to look at it a different way. See, because when you lift your perception, when our perception lifts, your frequency lifts. And you want your frequency to be in gratitude. Because when you are in the frequency of gratitude, you are connected to love. You are connected to all that is. You are open to receive blessings and miracles. You understand what I'm saying? This is all important because you might not think that it's connected to unforgiveness, but it is. It's all connected. So I want you to take a look at who you need to forgive. Who do you need to forgive for something that someone did to you and the outcome and the perception of that was not good? You need to go back and you need to forgive that person because they did not do that to you intentionally, to consciously. You see, it's an unconscious act. And you don't know if they were in that place to perform that action so that you could grow. Because you know what? When we are in the wilderness, God is going to show up. We have got to grow. You cannot get the same blessing as you do when you put forth your effort to connect with God, your effort to heal within, your effort to be strong, your effort to be grounded. That's a whole different frequency, family. That's the frequency where the blessings flow because you have an intent to connect with your higher self. You have to be intentional, and I want you to stay intentional. And I told you yesterday, those of you that heard or couldn't hear, that I had to do some heavy forgiveness. That's why I can talk about it. You understand? I had to go, I didn't know that being a therapist, a family and marriage therapist, I didn't know that being a trauma therapist, I didn't know that the things that I went through in my life were going to prepare me to help people with deep addictions, with spiritual shackles, with addictions that were connected to spiritual things, things that they could not see, addictions that are connected to unforgiveness, addictions that are connected to unforgiveness. You are soothing yourself as the victim. Poor me. I am so sad. Look at what happened in my life. I just got to stay in this state of mind. So you just keep on smoking. I ain't got nothing against smoking your herb. You do what you got to do. What I'm saying is if you covering up the pain that you need to be free, because without forgiving, you can't get the love. It doesn't pour through. God loves us, but we're not talking about that agape love, that eternal love that was given to you that can never leave you. I'm talking about the love you need to reach another frequency. I'm talking about tapping in from the universe to your universe. You got me? I'm talking about waking up to knowing that you have got to do your part. So I just want to drop this story on you and then I'm going to let you go. All right. I thank you for listening, but I just want to make sure that you understand that I know the pain and I know you don't want to forgive him or her, but you've got to do it because they did not do it purposely. And I guarantee you, if you go back and ask the question, what lesson was I supposed to learn from this? Because when I told you that lesson yesterday, when I did that video, and I told you that when I was young, I was very young. I had just gotten married and, I was that kind of young. Didn't have any children yet, that kind of young. But my trauma was the fact that I never felt good enough. I never felt love. So I always wanted to fit in. So you see how this trauma is connected to things that will lead you to things that need to happen in our lives, experiences, so that we can get free. But I was still trapped in this trauma of needing to feel loved and needed, just needing to be with somebody. Because see, I didn't have that God. I wasn't able to envelop myself in God. And I'm going to tell you, baby, when you can envelop yourself in the spirit of the living God, you really don't need nothing. Because that is the best feeling in the world. I'm not saying we're not human. You should have I'm talking about need. So I was needy, but I didn't really know it like that. I just felt like I wanted to hang out with my husband and all of the people that he was with because I was alone. That feeling of alone and loneliness, watch out for it. So I went to find out what they were doing, and I went into the room where they were because my husband was an ex-Vietnam veteran, and when he came home, he was addicted to morphine from being in Vietnam. That's how long ago this went back. And when I went in that room where they were shooting up their drugs, their heroin, the person in that room, the other person, not my husband, and I don't want to say who is because people have passed on, but that's not about who he was. It's about what happened. He said, "Oh, you don't belong in here." I was like, "Well, I just want to hang out." He said, "Well, if you want to be like us, you want to be like us." And he popped me in my butt, and what he shot in my butt muscle was heroin. That was the beginning of my heroin addiction that lasted for 7 years. But I want to tell you something. Just because you down in the valley, baby, don't mean that you won't one day be up on the mountain. As long as you remember that there's a lesson to be learned in everything that we go through. I want you to never, ever give up trying. Even if you don't hear the lesson, I want you to say, I love myself. I want you to say, it's going to be all right. I want you to say, trouble won't last always. I want you to say that the God that's in me is greater than the situation that I'm going through. Because when I was in that addiction for 7 years, I didn't know to call on God. But in the seventh year, I knew, because when you know what you know, that if I didn't stop, something was going to happen. And see, that was that inner man talking to me. Because I liked getting high. I didn't like it, but I liked, I was an addict. So you like being an addict. And I also wanted to be a part of my husband because he was still an addict. But God freed me. But it took a while because I went from one addiction because I didn't forgive the perpetrator at the time and I didn't forgive myself. I just went from one addiction to a lesser addictive substance. So I'm telling you, this addiction, this forgiveness, this pain of the victim, it's deep. And you've got to free yourself from it so that you can feel love and you can be loved. Because everything that's connected to stress is connected to disease. To disease. Because remember, I told you I wanted to know, why did I have cancer? It's all connected to disease. Now, this video is going a little longer than I intended, but I just wanted to tell you these things. And I know it resonates with somebody because my inner man, the love that I have for God's people, kept nudging me to do it again. Do it again, Shaloma. Do it again. Say it again, because they can't hear you. And we're in a generation where people can't hear anything. They swipe off right away. But I need those of you that needed to hear this. You need to forgive so that you can heal. You need to forgive so that you lift your vibration and your frequency so that you can reach the blessings that are there for us because they're always there. Listen, I got to go now, but I'll be back to talk to you some more at some point. Like and share this video with somebody that needs to hear it. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. You can send me a DM if you want to talk to me because you know I am your therapist. And baby, there's nothing better than having a therapist on speed dial because sometimes you need to talk to somebody that knows something about something to get free. You don't have to fight this battle by yourself. You can connect. And there's nothing better than apple pie and ice cream than having your own therapist. So I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll talk to you again soon. Shalom.